Welcome to another edition of the Strange Days audiocast with your host, Jeffrey Chapman.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Strange Days audiocast. It's your host, Jeffrey Chapman, aka Chili J. You're a man about town, the man who wish you would, and for the next few episodes, I'm going to be the man with the plan. First of all, I'd like to explain to everybody the 2-week-long absence since our last get-together. The other week, I was the proud recipient of a bachelor's degree in liberal arts from the Metropolitan State University in St. Paul. 4 years of hard work at last completed. My son was able to be there to see the occasion, so it was really special. So, you are now listening to the words of a college graduate. We've spent the last few episodes talking about the sad state of affairs that we now find ourselves in. And so now, finally, it's time to discuss what we should do about it. What can we do? What steps can we take? First, though, remember, we always need to operate from the proper perspective. So, hey, remember this. A lot of people went to bed last night and didn't wake up this morning. So if you woke up this morning, then you're already winning, okay? The glass is always half full. Remember that, people. Glass is always half full. So, what are we talking about today? Step one of the first things we should do. And remember, a call to action is exactly that, a call to action, to effort, both figuratively and actually. And I need to say, first of all, that much of what I'm about to say, I cannot claim total credit for, as far as the ideas that I'll be sharing over the next month or so. Much of the credit goes to people like former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney, a woman who, in the midst of the brazen attempt to rewrite the history of what happened on January 6th by the MAGA zealots, she instead gave a lesson to the entire Republican Party on what it means to possess ethics and morals, So let's get into it. First thing that Democrats need to do to battle this corrupt Trump administration. You need to form independent, civilian-led investigative groups, composed of veteran political strategists, whistleblowers, journalists, watchdog organizations, and regular people who have eyes and can see. We need to start documenting all of this corruption, building an archive of all of the corruption that is happening before our very eyes. And we need to go public with it. Make it public. Scream it into every microphone, every TV camera that you can find, okay? I mean, this is something that the Republicans did, the MAGA zealots, rather, did for the entire Biden administration every day, whether the channels you were watching, even if they weren't right-wing channels, CNN, MSNBC, they were going to commercial break and you were constantly seeing commercials talking about the corrupt Biden family and the Hunter Biden laptop. But guess who fixed it? Just vote for Trump. And by the time the election happened, people walked right into the voting booths and voted almost automatically without thinking for Donald Trump because they had been programmed for the past 3 to 4 years prior. So Democrats need to go public with the corruption that they see. Scream it into every microphone, every TV camera that they'll let you stand in front of. If you can't have formal hearings up in Washington, then have public ones, okay? Buy ad space. Flood the airwaves with commercials exposing all of it to the point that it's a part of the daily news every single day. And that way, when the time comes to hold this corrupt administration accountable, and that time will come, it is coming. By then, you will have publicly documented everything and prepared the evidence for their prosecution and prepared the evidence for everyone else to see. Another thing, this is really something that sticks with me. Another thing, Democrats, you need to be brave enough to speak out and label a thing for what it is. We need to modify all of this we go high when they go low type of thinking and learn to get down in the mud because that's where the fight for the country is taking place. That's where these MAGA zealots are at. down in the mud and they are fighting dirty. They're rolling around in it. And this is something like, for instance, that Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is doing and saying. He's he's a Democratic governor in Illinois, and he is quickly drawing a line between himself and the rest of the party, calling them the do-nothing Democrats, okay? The lack of action. And enough with all of the speeches. Can we please, and please stop being afraid to say the word racist, okay? The only thing that was amazing about Cory Booker's 25-hour speech on the Senate floor, if you ask me, is the fact that Strom Thurmond, the previous record holder, went 24 hours saying racist things, while Booker went 25 hours without saying the word racist even once, okay? Matter of fact, last week I watched the new mayor of Chicago respond to the news that the Trump DOJ is now investigating him for having made public mention of the fact that several members of his administrative team are black people, and that the Trump DOJ is claiming that he is violating Trump's executive order, his ban on DEI initiatives. And when this mayor was asked, hey, why do you think, what do you think the reason is for their doing so, investigating you? He was clearly afraid to say that it was racially motivated. And the reason he was afraid to say is because those who subscribe to racist ideology have simultaneously done an unbelievably successful job of screaming reverse racism at the top of their lungs wherever they can find a microphone or a TV camera, to the point now that it's almost impossible to try and initiate a dialogue on race with someone who is a white person without anyone in the room feeling like an accusation is somehow being lodged against them. It's a form of propaganda warfare, and it's been going on for longer than you can imagine. I first became conscious of it back in the 90s when I began checking in on the Rush Limbaugh show occasionally, and I was noting the code words that he would use repeatedly when referring to people of color, and I recognized that he was slowly but surely programming his listeners. And the programming has worked to such an extent that even people of color are afraid to call a racist act exactly what it is. This is yet another instance of prophetic Orwellianism, if you will, where after being taught to chant 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, the farm animals were then taught to say 4 legs good, 2 legs better. People, if the racist man is brave enough to shout reverse racism, then you and I should be equally brave enough to shout back the truth of the matter. Because if we back away from the narrative, then that allows them to take control of it. And then the lie becomes the truth. We are at war today, people, where propaganda is the main ammunition. A member of the Nazi Party, Joseph Goebbels, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, back in 1936, he said, when referring to the rise of the Nazi Party, he said, propaganda helped us to power. Propaganda kept us in power. And propaganda will help us conquer the world. And a large part of the propaganda that we're seeing today consists of finding new ways to say black and brown without actually saying black and brown. If you like what we're doing, people, what we're doing here, then friend request me. Find the Strange Days audiocast on YouTube and subscribe, or you can find me on Substack and subscribe. Peace and blessings, everybody. And remember, if you're not already angry, it's because you're not paying attention.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of the Strange Days audiocast. Peace and blessings, everybody.